conference calls. So let's begin. What do you guys want to begin?
Well, let's just start with introductions
Okay.
for our new visitors on the Zoom call. Let's just start with ladies.
Lady first.
Ladies first.
All right. I am Megan. I'm Director of Operations, so I help organize all of the logistics of the tour along with Rod, keep everything running smoothly. And I originally came to Panama in 2018 as a Peace Corps volunteer. I'm originally from Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania, and finished up my service. Met these guys while I was serving just a little bit south of Boquete, and got to learn a lot about Panama in my time in the Peace Corps here. So I love getting to share that with all of you guys on the tours, and just enjoying beautiful life in Boquete right now.
Okay, great. Next lady. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you didn't.
Okay. Anyways, my name is Rod from Vancouver, Canada. Go Canucks to the rest of the Canadians there. I moved down here in 2011, so it was 9 years for me, and last year, and never looked back. I love it down here. I love my country, sure do, but certainly not in January or February. But like a lot of you thinking, but for many, many more reasons that we're going to talk about in this call, and we talk about on our tours. And any of you ever want to have a phone call from me, I'm not saying just the Canadians, but if from a Canadian perspective, I can certainly help you out there. So I moved down here not to do this. I moved down here. I had an online business, and it was very successful back in Canada, but I wanted the way to pay less taxes, live in a tropical paradise, and live cheaper. And that was it for me here. Then I met Oscar in my first year. He helped me out in a bunch of stuff, saved my butt in several situations. And he was already in this type of a business, helping expats move to Panama. So Oscar's been doing this for over 10 years now. So we connected right away. I was the IT guy, the computer guy, the marketing genius, and Oscar was the guy that knew everything about Panama. So, hey, let's do some business. So we started helping expats move to Panama, and that grew and that evolved into the business that we have today, Retire in Panama Tours, where we take groups of people across the country and show them Panama. We also run a service called Panama Expat Service for those people who don't want to go on a group tour because they already know what they want. And we help people with immigration referrals, rentals, real estate, getting driver's license, bringing your pets here, doing all the stuff expats need when they're moving to a new country.
Beautiful. Well, my name is Oscar. I'm originally from Cali, Colombia. I got here to Boquete in August 2009. 2009?
Yes.
I mean, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And before that, I was in
You were just a kid.
Yeah. And before that, I was in Costa Rica for 3 years and a half. From 2006, I've been working involved in tourism, hotel industry, restaurants, guiding services, and basically during this operation, during the tour, I'll be your driver, your guide, your bartender, your bodyguard, your helper, your bellboy, all requirements to make sure you guys are safe and sound and having a great time. And I'm very blessed for this team. And as Rod already mentioned, all the cool stuff we've been doing, how we start this magic team. And we have Megan with us since 3 years almost.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it has been nothing but a blessing. We're very happy to and very grateful for you guys to take the time tonight to be here. And I hope then some of you or all of you can join us in the next few tours.
Okay. That being said, we're going to get this thing rolling. Two things. One announcement. 3 to 5 times a day, we get emails and phone calls. We want to get on your backup list. Everyone knows our tours are sold out for 2021. And 2022, we're already 60% sold out. So, and we got to say, sorry, sorry, sorry. So on this call, in about an hour, we're opening up a new tour. And it's in July, so it's not that far away.
Oh, yeah.
So anyone who wants to come, you guys, it'll go for sale to the general public tomorrow. But I will be putting a link in the chat in about an hour. And if anyone who wants to come, we got a new tour available for everyone. So that's the one. Actually, that's the only announcement I have. I think we're done. It was great seeing you all. Thank you for. Oh no. Okay, we're not done. Okay, we're going a bit here. Okay. Next thing we're doing is the number. Okay, there's the big decision is you're going to move to Panama. What's the decision number 2? Where are you going to live? We get this all the time. And when we started the group tours, it was a little, doing individual ones, it was a little easier because it's more casual. We can just go see our, we can just go see a property listing or rental ourselves and take the guys. But now that we have a group, we needed to find a company that we could align ourselves with that can help our guests find a place to live. Now, when you move here, half of you are going to rent long term, and the other half, well, you're going to rent in the beginning because you're not going to buy a house your first day probably, and but you're going to have to find a place to rent, and then you're going to want to start shopping for a home. Now, on the tour, we're not a real estate tour. We always joke around with our guests. Okay, today we are going to we're going to spend 8 hours in a timeshare seminar. We're not that. Trust me. We don't do any real estate sales in the tour whatsoever.
Literally what we're gonna do is to show you what it takes to be here and to all the inside outs about Panama, the culture, the best locations, and also simple information about the what makes either easier or it's going to be difficult, because sometimes in a foreign country, and luckily Panama is very friendly for most North Americans, to the very Americanized in many ways, but also it's a beautiful, in a very agile location. They have many places in a safe way, also fast to move around.
Yeah, back to where you're going to live. We do show you, of course, rentals. We'll take you to a house. Okay, this rents for $600 and it sells for this much. Look around. And because you need to know what you want to look at. But a few years ago, when we were doing the groups and we were looking at who can we align with, we found a company called Inside Panama Real Estate, and we find Mike and his wife Martha, and they are one of the largest in the country with offices in 6 locations. But what's unique about them, they have a rentals division separate from their real estate division. Their real estate agents don't do rentals, in other words, so they're not trying to push you into the sale. They do rentals. That's their job. Mike's wife, Martha, owns Inside Panama Property Management, one of the largest property management companies in the Coronado area. If you want to rent a condo down there, she's the one to see. Here we have in Cherokee, we have Sam. She's a great gal, and she has more rentals than anyone I know in the Cherokee province in her pocket. And so this was the type of company that we wanted to meet. So Mike is on the call here and with us, and I'm going to ask him just a few questions because, again, this is, besides can we get on your tour, this is the most important question. What does it cost to rent a 2-bedroom home? What does it cost to buy a 2-bedroom home? What's the market like? And I'm not a real estate guy. Oscar's not a
Nope.
Like I don't even like to get into that stuff. Like, how much are taxes? I don't know. But you still need to know that answer. So Mike and Martha moved here, I think it's 14, 15 years ago, from Southern California. Mike's been in real estate and mortgage lending all his life. They moved here to retire. That didn't happen. He ended up building his empire of real estate and rentals property. They are such down-to-earth people, and they understand the the North American expat. So Mike, I see you're up in the corner right here with us. Don't know how that happened, but I got 4 questions to ask you. Very simple. Please, first introduce yourself and tell us about yours and Martha's history and your experience in Panama.
Yeah.
You're muted.
First, you got to unmute yourself.
Okay.
There we go.
So my name's Mike Vitovich. I came to Panama from San Diego along with my wife. We came in 2007. Like Rod said, I actually came to Panama retired, and today I have 6 real estate offices, and I'm hardly retired. I just saw so much opportunity here. There's so many great opportunities here for those that want to continue to work. I couldn't think of a better place to come if you didn't want to do anything except enjoy Panama. So like Rod said, my wife and I have a real estate, both for sales and for rentals. We primarily focus in Coronado and Boquete, though we do cover Bocas del Toro and Boca Chica, Puerto Muelles, and Panama City as well. So there you have it.
Okay. Okay. Now we're going to talk post COVID, because that's all in almost every sentence we read nowadays is, what was it like before COVID? What's it going to be like? So what is the current rental market like in Panama? Vacancies, pricing compared to what it was a year ago? Can you find a place? Can you get something decent in Panama right now?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with where exactly you're looking at. So in Boquete, it's been very brisk. We're seeing lots and lots of traffic coming to Boquete. In fact, well, the people in your tours tend to like Boquete as well. And then Coronado, I think, would be the second in demand. But in Coronado, there's so much inventory for sale that's been sitting empty for since COVID started. The people that were renting the units left and went home for fear that they wouldn't be able to get home, or nobody really knew how long we'd be locked down. Right now it's high season, and many of the units that were reserved a year ago are empty because the people didn't come. So for that reason, at the beach, there's an abundance of rentals. Here in Boquete, there are rentals for sure, but not as many as at the beach, because there's lots of people here in Boquete right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's move to the real estate market. So what's it like currently buying and selling a home? Well, more buying, because no one here is selling their home in Panama. What's it like buying? Is there inventory? Are there deals? Like what's the story? What's your magic wand tell you is going to happen?
Well, it's very much a buyer's market at the moment. So anybody that's looking to buy, you couldn't really have picked a better time, because COVID has definitely disrupted many things, and real estate is not immune to that. I think that to answer your question about inventory, there's nothing but inventory. We're choking on inventory. Many things are for sale, which is what contributes to it being a buyer's market. So I think right now is a really good time for somebody, even if you're coming just to look to rent. The rents are soft as well, so it's a really good time if you're considering Panama for any reason.
Right. Awesome. What is this is my last question to you. When you're buying or renting a home, what are some warning signs people can see? This is a Latin American country. Things are obviously different than they are back home. What are some red flag warning things that you would tell people if someone's shopping for property in Panama?
Well, that's a great question. And you said it, what are the things that you see? Because if you're coming from North America, you're used to transparency and property transfer disclosures, and it's a lengthy document, and the sellers are required to disclose everything. Here, the sellers are required to disclose nothing. It really is buyer beware. So as far as the things that you see, as Rod said, you literally have to make sure that you take the effort to see what it is that you're considering, either to rent or to buy. I recommend looking at a property in the daytime. I recommend going back again at nighttime and on the weekend, seeing what's going on in the neighborhood. Often you show up in the daytime and it's very quiet because everybody's off to work, and you come back a couple hours later and it's a completely different story. Things as North Americans that we take for granted, hot water, for instance, or screens on the windows, and you can't take those things for granted. So really probably the best thing to do in the very beginning is just get with somebody that's knowledgeable and experienced about what to look for, and to make sure so that you don't overlook something that's critical later.
Yeah. Okay, great. Guys, there's one special thing you're going to get tonight. There is tons of information online about Panama, and the majority of it's wrong. I'm sorry to tell you, much of it has been up there for many, many years. Much of it is from people that want your wallets open. Well, Mike and his team developed a ebook about Panama for people considering moving to Panama. It's a great product. It's 60, 70 pages. I've seen other companies sell things like this for hundreds of dollars. He's going to give it to you tonight for free. And Oscar and I encourage people to get as much information from all good sources as possible.
Yep.
As in Panama. Mike, can you type in the email address that they have to email to, and then they get a reply back with the ebook as an attachment?
Sure. Well, you can go to the website, which is www.insidepanamarealestate.com. Up in the upper right-hand corner of the homepage, you can just click on the free ebook and it will walk you right through it.
Oh, you can download it from there now? I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, there's actually a couple ways. Was there a different way that you were thinking?
Yeah, free ebook at IPR info.
That's actually less cumbersome. Free ebook at ipreinfo.com.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Awesome.
Free ebook
IPRE.
ipreinfo.com.
Don't worry, guys. I'm just going to put that in the chat right now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think you have three.
That way you don't have to go through, send
Three E's in there.
free ebook. Yeah. Okay.
Three E's?
FREE ebook. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you email that, it's a great product. You can flip through it. It gives you a lot of ideas, things that we never thought of, but hey, I'll give the credit to Mike for that.
Yeah.
So as we get started, we're about to start our Q&A. Feel free to fill up the chat with your questions. We're going to go to open mic shortly here, and we'll get people to ask their questions. But I want to thank Mike for joining us. If you come on one of our tours, you'll meet, even if you didn't like Mike, his wife Martha is way nicer. Like, we really like Martha, and Martha will show you some great.
You're the coolest.
Yeah, Martha will show you some great 25th store rentals in Coronado and stuff like that.
Mike doesn't like to have a great time. He doesn't. He does not.
Yeah, I know. We all have a good time. But yeah, so I'd like to thank you, Mike.
Thank you, buddy.
Free ebook. You'll get Mike's personal information after you get the free ebook. So if you ever want to ask some questions about real estate, because every time you send me one, I have to go to him to get my answer. Okay. So thank you, Mike. And we're going to start the Q&A. Who wants to ask the first question?
We already have some questions.
Yeah.
We do. If anyone wants to unmute and ask.
Yeah, anyone wants to unmute and ask, please do.
There's one about the visas over here.
Yes, to kick it
I
off.
typed in the question of what are the tax rules or limits on taking precious metals into boquete. I know there's limits on cash, but if you want to take in precious metals, what are the policies regarding that?
Well, if you're flying, you still have the $10,000 US. You would have to arrange that through a courier and to bring those in. I do have a guide for you that I don't publicly announce over the Q&As and stuff because he gets bombarded with calls. But if you would like to send me an email, I can connect you. And like, you got to bring it in through a courier system. Then it's customs is notified what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to pay 7% tax on it all, which you don't want. But when you're flying, you're still limited to the $10,000. So you can bring 5 gold coins with you. That's about it. But if you want to email us, info@retireinpanamatours.com, I can connect you to someone that can help you bring precious metals. We unfortunately don't have good storage solutions here. In Panama City, there's some, but out here in the West is really not.
There is at Valle Escondido, they have a vault.
Yeah, it's not actually, I wouldn't say active. They're going through some things there, so I don't know even who's running it anymore. I've been in their vault and I've checked them out. I can't recommend them at this time, but I think we could have something good there down the road, but I think they're still in the process of, they had leaks and stuff like that. So things, because it's fairly new.
Yeah. All right. Should we go to the next question? We have from Lisa and Dean.
Is there any update to changes in the Friendly Nations visa? Does the change affect the pensioners visa?
Nope.
Any visa?
Nope.
There's no change in the Friendly Nations visa, folks. Will there be in the future? We don't know. But that rumor that came across last November, it happens every 5 years.
Yeah,
And nothing's happened with it. And there's no changes in the pensionable. But this is Panama. Something could happen next week, and we don't know. But as long as people's Friendly Nations visa, the lawyers are still doing them. We're still advising them. It's the best visa out there. If you're not receiving a pension.
yeah. Either way, if there's gonna be a changes, they're not gonna be doing like overnight. It will be like it will take time to take a thing changes. They will give a extension for those that can wanted to apply, but that's
Yeah.
just general information. How they proceed here in Panama. They just don't change one overnight. Okay, this is done. No
Yeah.
more.
There's
That
a new
doesn't happen.
visa introduced in November.
Yeah.
They call it the real estate visa. What's the actual name, Mike? I think it's real estate investments visa. And that threw a lot of confusion into the Friendly Nations visa
Yeah.
of that it was going to replace it and stuff like that. But no, nothing ever made it to our Congress floor or anything like that. So
Yep.
cool. Do we got any other live questions?
We
Is the
have
chat room-
Georgia has a hand up.
Hey, Georgia.
You're welcome to unmute and ask a question.
Question about RPOs versus titled.
What's the question?
Hello,
Versus title.
hello,
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Georgia.
hi,
I would just
hi.
I was just answering one question. We'll get to you next, okay?
I'm sorry.
Hey, no problem. Okay, who asked the question about RPOs versus title?
Oh, we did. We were just wondering if we could get a little insight into that.
Well,
Really what it means and how RPOs actually.
Mike, you want to take this one for me? What we're talking about, people, is property. Mike, you're gonna have to unmute yourself. What we're talking about here is property titles, right of possession or titled property.
Right, it's ROP, right of possession, which really in a nutshell means that you do not have a title. It may or may not be titleable with time and money. But typically, as a realtor, I don't recommend to buyers that are not very, very familiar with the process to even consider right of possession property. You really want to make sure that you focus on titled properties,
Yeah.
which most of them are, but you definitely want to be aware and make sure that what you're considering is titled.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
We
Mike.
saw a lot of RPO properties in Bocas, ROP properties in Bocas. Is that the norm or the exception?
Well, that's a good question. And Bocas is one of the areas where you really have to pay more attention. There are quite a few right of possession properties in Bocas del Toro. So, like I say, some of them you may be able to get them titled, but you'd have to really have somebody that's really knowledgeable about that you're really comfortable with before you pull the trigger on something like that, because just because they say you can get a title doesn't mean that you're going to.
And it also means you're not going to leave that property to your children.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's move on. Georgia, it's your turn if you want to unmute yourself.
Hello,
Hi.
hi. I was wondering how much rental properties were in Coronado area.
Don't talk range.
The rent.
Range of properties that we've seen. Oh, okay. They vary. If you're looking for high-rise condos, can be 1,200 to 2,000. If you're looking near the beach, if you're looking in the Las Lajas neighborhood, which is the town of Coronado, you could, be as low as $600-700 for a Panamanian style home. So the range is quite high in Coronado, but if you
Very high.
yeah, if you want to get a nice 2-bedroom, 20-story ocean view, you're looking at 1,800 probably.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It can be less, but it sometimes depends if you do like, yeah,
If it's in high season, a little bit more. If
Yeah.
it's a long-term lease, a little bit less.
Yeah, maybe a little less.
you always get a best deal when it's long term.
Mm. So a single family home might be around 700, and then closer to the beach would be.
No, a small Panamanian style home away from the beach would be 700.
Yeah.
What about one closer to the beach?
Yeah, single family homes,
Around 1,500
yeah,
minimum.
starting 15.
Starting.
Yeah, starting 1,500. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to be close to the beach, you are going to pay in Coronado for sure.
Yeah.
What about a lease, or in a, what about like in a Gorgona or some place that was, a little farther away?
Well, Gorgona is right on the beach too. It's right next to Coronado. But to get like, if you want to be on the beach in a single family home in that entire stretch, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, it's $1,500 to $2,500 for something near the beach in single family homes. I think
Yeah,
Mike's
for
right.
a house, you're right, that's what it would cost.
Yeah. Mhm. If you want to live down in
Okay.
Las Tablas, Chitre, Petitsi along the beach, yeah, you could knock that right down to the
Yeah.
$700 range.
Around 700, 800, under $1,000 probably, and especially close to Petitsi, or there is other areas, Uberito, close to Chitre,
Yeah. Mhm.
even lower than that.
We take you when people come with us, we take them across the entire country. There's a budget for everybody in Panama. Honestly, there is. I
It
say
is
this
possible.
over and over again. There's a budget for everyone. It just depends what you will accept.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no matter where you are in Panama, you're going to be near a beach.
Yeah, like
I mean,
an
even
hour
here in
drive.
Boquete, we're an hour away.
Yeah, there's
But-
more. Yeah.
But if you want to be on the beach, you're going to pay more for that.
Yeah, but this is one of the beautiful things about Panama. It's such a agile country. Like you can just, it's a small country. You can just go from Caribbean to Pacific in hours, literally. So it makes it very, very easy to move around. And it's all about what is the budget. It's all about how fancy you want it, and also how you want to be close to the locals, because that's pretty much what it is. If it's a gated community or just opening the countryside, because the Pacific Ocean during Panama is very extended, so there's a lot of options.
Okay, cool. We're gonna have lots of questions because we just peaked at 100 people here. Woohoo! We're back down to 98.
Awesome.
Someone just dropped off. Okay, a lot of people want to come to Panama, so get down here quick and buy your home before everyone else does, and the price goes up.
Okay, well, that's my question.
Go ahead.
Mike, okay, because I'm actually a realtor here in Texas, so I understand, there is no crystal ball that we get when we go to real estate school. But we are probably, it may be a while before we can get to Panama, potentially 7 years. Hopefully less, but that's likely what it's probably going to be. So hearing that it's a buyer's market right now, would it make sense for us to buy, even if, let's say ultimately we want to be in Boquete, would it make sense for us to buy some sort of beach condo for the time being and rent it out until we can actually get there? I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on that.
Well, it's actually a pretty popular plan. There's a lot of people who do exactly that. And they may come down for a month or two during the year, or send friends and family, and we typically just manage the property for them while they're gone.
That's a good answer. Yeah, people who, like, even if you're going to be up in Boquete 7 years from now, you buy a Coronado place and, rent it out and let it pay for itself. And then when you finally do decide to move here, sell that and buy something in Boquete. But 7 years from now, we can't have a crystal ball on what the real estate's going to be like.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if you're going to consider that plan, I would really encourage looking at a condominium, because they're a lot less risk if you're not going to be here at least 9 or 10 months out of the year to really look after your property. Here in the tropics, you really can't let them sit. So
Okay.
The grass grows a foot every.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, my parents actually lived in Panama for about 10 years.
Okay.
So my dad was actually the director of treaty implementation for the Air Force back in like the 90s. So I visited Panama a few times back then.
Cool.
Awesome.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll see you again.
I also have a background in Panama. I grew up there in the 1940s and have visited another 10 times or so. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to say, I just got in late and I'm wondering if, oh, incidentally, that's a mola behind me up there.
Right.
Um,
The mola,
I
yes.
Yes, I wanted to ask, what are the problems coming in? And you may have discussed this before, like I say, I'm late. What are the problems getting into Panama now with COVID?
Oh, there's no problems getting into Panama. You're required to have a negative COVID test that's no older than 48 hours.
And that would be 48 hours before I left the US.
Well, technically it's before you arrive in Panama, but on the long flights, they're just letting it slide. So, but if you fly out of Houston, yeah, that's only a 4-hour flight. So 48 hours, but it can be an rapid antigen test. You can get that anywhere, same day, 15-minute results.
Okay, thank you.
So it's
But
not.
on the antigen
I'm
test,
anxious to go back. It's my other country.
There you go.
And then once you get here,
the
currently
return test.
we're slowly moving out of restrictions. The only restrictions that are left right now is a few provinces, including Panama City, Panama West, Los Santos, and Herreras have weekend lockdowns. And now we fully expect by the end of this month, that's going to be gone. Currently in Cherokee, we don't have any restrictions besides a 10 o'clock curfew. So if you like to go out and party in the bars, it's not the right time to come to Panama.
Yeah, no. With just no restrictions.
You got to be home by 10 o'clock.
Yeah. But
And the bars aren't open.
they're not open yet.
You have to wear a mask in public in Panama, and
Yeah.
I would expect that
Oh, they
for
carry it.
the rest of this year, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. So those are the only concerns coming to Panama right now. We have a very low RT transmission rate. It's below 0.7 right now, one of the lowest in the world, actually, of industrialized countries. So it's very exciting. Our virus is not transmitting like it is in other countries. So.
Where is the best place to get the most up to date? Because last thing I heard is that you couldn't do the antigen test. So I'm
Yes.
sure it's like an ever moving target, but where is the best place to get the most up to date? Because we're
Well,
coming down in May.
Yeah, it's always been the antigen test here. That's the one Panama always accepts. It's the one they do at the actual airport. So I don't know where that information came from. All I can tell you, there's a ton of bad information online and on Facebook. MINSA's website, if you use a Google Translator in Chrome, MINSA, MINSA .gov.com.
Yeah.
GOB is in Bob.com.
Or .pa.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. .pa. Oh, let's type that in. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
MINSA's website. Hard to navigate, but you have to.
That's our Ministry of Health.
Yes.
Okay. And just
Can you
Google
guys post, Rod, could you please post, you mentioned there's a rapid antigen testing for those of us who will need it to come back to the United States, and we're going to need that in April. Would you guys post where that is?
We'll write the name of the lab in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's Viva Tech Lab.
Be the tech.
We'll write the MINSA website and then we'll write.
I'm still trying to get a mouse that works. I can't. I apologize, folks.
You get something to slide.
We are a little bit unorganized because we did this together this time. And when we've been separate, so I brought my computer system over here.
You can slide it.
Okay, first of all, we have Mensa's website. Get the Google Chrome edition so you can see what's in English. They have all the requirements of everything. And okay, I put that in the chat. And honestly, I don't want to say it. I'm going to say it. Follow us. Follow our Facebook. Join our list. We don't put ever. Oscar and I made this. We never put rumors out there. We only put the truths of what we know is going on in this
No
country.
rumors,
In
no
this
fake
country,
news.
no fake
That's the
news.
rule.
Yeah, tech.
Just the real facts.
Lab.
Laboratorio. Yeah, I was just going to Google it for the spot.
Oh, the website.
Yeah.
That's a
Um,
better idea. All right.
It's didactic. Yeah. There are different places where you can get tested in Panama.
We've been using VitaTech Lab. It's a $45 rapid antigen test in Panama City.
You get the results very quick.
Yeah, there are other options
can't
in
share this.
David.
Yeah, there are many options in Panama City. We just like these guys because they're good. Okay. They get the job done. They get the results to you fast. So in Panama City and here in Boquete, of course they're closed now. But tomorrow morning I could drive to town, be at the lab at 8 o'clock in the morning, get my test and have the results in an hour.
Can you hear me?
For $45. So, okay, that is the Google Map location of the testing center in Panama City that we use for our groups and stuff.
Question?
Okay.
For Canadians, as you may be aware, we have to have a PCR.
Yep.
Yes. Can you get one there? You say this. You are
at that same lab, and I'm going to say this. I hope my government doesn't hear me and comes looking for me. Okay. Canada requires a PCR test. Some countries do. But Canada claims that, since Panama is a third world country, we're going to give you 96 hours to get that test, which they do. You actually have 96 hours from Panama. I can get you, you can go to that lab I just showed you and we get the results in 12 hours. Canada takes 3 days to get the results on a.
So we can get a PCR test there before departing to come back to Canada.
It's guaranteed within 24. Most of the people are getting it within 12. Though.
Incidentally, Canada is probably the third world country. That's why we're thinking about going where you.
It's crazy when Canada makes the announcement. Oh, Panama and these other Central American countries, we're gonna because they don't have testing capabilities. We've always been a few minutes away from a test with same day results. We've never been like 3 days to get a test result, like Canada is. So. Okay.
Another question.
Yeah.
So we've heard nightmare stories about getting your pets down there. Is there an easy way to do it?
There is no easy way to do it.
It's just the right way to do it.
There is the right way to do it. I'm going to next share the next link. We do this all the time for people. Honestly, I do it I do the paperwork side 4 or 5 times a month. Oscar goes and picks people up once, twice a month. I'm just going to send you the link. You can do it yourself. You don't have to pay someone to do it. We do offer the service for a fee also, but like I'm going to show you, I can do it yourself. Just some people are more comfortable getting someone to manage the paperwork for them. It's a nightmare if you don't follow these instructions that I'm going to post in the link right now. And that is current. This is more current than the government's website. On the government's website, they have an email address and a fax number that don't actually work. It hasn't been updated in over a year.
Okay. Is it still 3 months? Is it still 3 month quarantine when you get them there?
There's no quarantine. You apply for home quarantine.
Home quarantine, yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering, like I'm just coming down by myself for 3 months next year, December, January, February, and I'm just wondering if there's a low cost area around Boquete where I might rent maybe a room or a small apartment or something, and how much it would cost.
You can make it a small room, an apartment. I would say you can start it studio apartment for 400, 450, depends the location. If you want in downtown Boquete, it's gonna be more expensive than outside, like Alto Boquete or Jaramillo or Los Naranjos. So it depends the location, but it started realistically from 450 you can get
But
one.
that's would also be for a longer term.
Yeah,
That's if you're in Boquete.
if you're in Boquete, yeah.
But let's not forget, I've recently moved to the town of Dolega, which is 15 minutes outside of Boquete.
Yeah.
I could find you a 2-bed, 1-bath home there for $250.
Exactly.
What's
Now,
the
you
name
can
of
have
that place again? What's the name of that place?
Dolega. It's
Dolega?
yeah, halfway between Boquete and David. But there's tons of towns like that. Panamanian, it's a Panamanian town. Your neighbors are Panamanians. It's going to be chickens in your yard in the morning and roosters.
You're gonna save
Central
about battery.
Americans.
Yeah, you're gonna save about battery on your cell phone by the alarm because the rooster is gonna wake you up at 4 in the morning.
That's right.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, and also, how do you get, like, if I'm just there for 3 months, how am I supposed to get my money? Like, you know, I can't carry cash down with me, American money. So how do I get my money, you know, so I can pay my rent and stuff?
Well, you can carry up to $10,000 cash.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to get mugged, you know, and lose all the money.
You can take it out of the bank, out of an ATM, $250 at a time.
Yeah.
$10.
Okay, that's about it, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Or
you.
you use your debit and credit cards from home when you're shopping and stuff, and then the only thing you need cash for is rent.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Quick question about the quarantine again, if I may.
Uh-huh.
I say a quick question about the quarantine when you arrive.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you quarantine, and the lady said, I think, in home, but if you're just visiting, for example, no place to stay, you're going to be at a hotel or
That was for
something.
Oh, we're talking home quarantine for pets. There is no COVID quarantine here.
Oh, okay. Very civilized.
Unless you test positive when you arrive. So if you didn't get the right test, or if your test expired because of plane delays and stuff, they actually test you here at the airport.
Gotcha. Yeah.
If you test positive,
Okay,
then you go
thank
into
you.
15-day quarantine sponsored by the Panama government, which you won't enjoy. Rice and beans. 14 days.
I have a question.
Go for it.
For those of us who already have had both doses of our vaccine, and we have an ID card that shows that we have received both doses, do we still have to go through with the antigen test?
Currently, as of right now, yes. It hasn't been announced yet, but I don't believe the U.S. has announced that either, have they? Like people driving coming back to the States still require their negative test.
Right now.
As of this morning.
Yeah, I would
We're still
expect
requiring
in a few weeks, Catherine, we're going to see changes from countries allowing a national. But the problem is there's no standardized national, but there's no standardized COVID test either. So for right now, you still need a COVID test to enter as of today.
Okay, thank you.
So you can have received both doses of the vaccination and still get COVID, maybe not get very sick, but then you could transmit it to someone else.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. The government's going to have to worry what they're going to do about that down the road. For right now, all we can say is get your COVID test if you're coming here.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's take Kim and Carl have their hand raised.
Hi. Yeah, we're like on the 3.5-year program. I've been there a couple times. Carl hasn't, so but I want him to see your beautiful country. Our question is about our belongings. I mean, we just bought 2 new cars, you know, I mean, your furniture. What are your suggestions to have those shipped to Panama or, you know, buy there?
They won't be in 3.5 years. I said they won't be new in 3.5 years. What do you say? Like it's
when you buy cars, and then it will be more of the paperwork, time management, and money spending importing the cars here, especially what kind of car, what is the brand, what is the model, because you have to make sure there is a brand you can get service, the proper service here, and also parts. So that can turn into a nightmare. My highly suggestion is sell the car in the United States, get a new one, the brand and model that you can get easy service.
As far as all your belongings, people do it a multitude of ways, from 2 suitcases to 2 containers full.
Yeah.
But the negatives about bringing your own stuff, like furniture, appliances and stuff, is the houses aren't North American houses here. They are totally different designs. No, like you're not going to probably buy a house that has a 52-inch spot for a fridge or a 42-inch range. Those things just don't exist here. I've seen people bring their appliances down and they have them in storage 5 years later because they can't sell them. Nobody wants them, or the furniture's too big, or if everything's things are different here. So I think before you decide to bring everything, spend a few weeks here looking at places where you would like to live and housing, whether you're going to rent or buy, before you decide to ship all that stuff here.
Yeah.
What about banking? I mean, if you get a check from Social Security and from the VA, what's the banking like? Keep your money in the States or transfer everything down there?
Again, everyone does it different. I'm the old don't put all your eggs in one basket. I have Panamanian bank accounts. I have U.S. bank accounts. I have Canadian bank accounts. But you can get your social, if you want to live off your Social Security and stuff like that, you can open a bank account here and get that deposited into that account. So that's a personal preference. Of course, I believe if you're going to be a resident of Panama, you should have a Panama debit card. You should have online banking to pay your bills. Otherwise, you're standing in line at a cash thing to pay your cable bill because there's no other way to pay it. You can't, so you need a bank account here. But whether shut your U.S. ones down, bring all your money here, I don't think there's a need for that. There's no reason why you can't have money in both places.
So transferring shouldn't be all that big of a problem.
A wire transfer is very simple procedure if you do it online. It's not cheap, so you don't want to do $500 transfers. But with the bank that I'm currently using, they charge $21 to receive. And my bank, I use Bank of America, and I have a $10 a month plan on my checking account, and I'm allowed 2 wire transfers a month. So it still costs me $25, $30 to receive a wire. But there are some banks here that charge $80 to receive a wire. So you got to be careful what bank you deal with. Okay, cool.
What bank do you use?
I personally use Multibank and Banco General. And I've had both of them for many years. I've used them in business, personal, stuff like that. So, and they're both fairly easy for foreigners, and especially U.S. foreigners, to open bank accounts. We have so many questions, which is great.
You mentioned multi-bank.
Yes.
We're curious because when we were there from October to November, we had been told multi-bank is the only bank that we could use in order to acquire a visa. And we kind of ran into some trouble because they're requiring bank reference letters, which American banks are now very reluctant to give out. So I'm wondering if you could speak, number one, do you know, is multi-bank the only bank that could qualify you for a visa? And do you know anything about these bank reference letters?
Multi-bank has nothing to do with the visa. Whoever told you that was false information. And for a pensionado visa, you don't have to open a bank account here, only for friendly nations. Your lawyer, your good lawyer, should helping you open the bank account. All banks will require a bank reference letter. Now, I have not any problem with the hundreds of people that we have helped move here of getting a U.S. bank to give a bank reference letter. So that's the first I've heard of that. Oh, like a reference letter doesn't have to be personal. It's just John Doe has dealt with this bank since 2013 and has accounts in good standing. That's it.
Only thing I needed to hear is it's not required to be multi-bank. Thank you. And we do have a new lawyer now, much better.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, we had a question from Ralph in the chat. If you're moving here and don't have time to see your rental or housing before you come down, what temporary housing options do we recommend before you sign a lease?
Airbnb.
Airbnb is great. VRBO. Mike's rental ladies are really awesome because they'll actually do a video call with you and show you through the rentals that they have and make sure that it's vetted and exactly what you want. But yeah, Airbnb is great too.
And if you come with us on one of our tours, we'll go see the place for you.
Yeah.
So we've had people move here this year, and we've done. Hey, Rod, I'm looking at this house in this neighborhood. Can you go drive by? Of course, that's what we do. Next time I go to the store, I go check out their house and recommend them, because there's, like Mike was saying, there's a lot of things you got to watch for. Like if you want to rent a house unseen that has 3 Dobermans or German Shepherds in the yard that are chained to a tree, barking and whining all day, no. But unless you're here, so sometimes you're going to find something, but only if you have boots on the ground here, like people like us and people like Sam, and like a rentals agent. Would I recommend renting before coming here? Otherwise, just get a 2-week Airbnb or VRBO.
This is a funny question from Francine. I don't think we've ever had before.
Okay.
What is the age limit to bring cats?
What is the age? Oh, yes. To bring your cat, you must be less than 90 years. Oh, the age limit of the cat. Sorry. Well,
There's no age for an
no,
animal.
there's no age limit right now. Well, okay, it depends on the airline. I shouldn't say that, because there was American Airlines was given a hard time with pets over 15 years. Now, if the doctor if a doctor will sign up on a healthy health certificate, so he has to say that this animal is in good health, then you shouldn't have a problem. But that's an airline thing. It's not a Panama thing. So check with the airline, and then they have a limit. By the way, airlines change the requirements on pets on a monthly basis. I can't even when I help someone do the pet, they have to look after the airline of what size crate the dog has to be in, of what markings have to be on the crate. Like it changes on a monthly basis. So check with them on the ages and pick the airline that will let you bring your kitty with you.
Yep.
Alrighty, another question from David. For those that don't want to use WhatsApp, do we suggest any other messaging calling apps that they can use here from Panama?
Well, you can use Telegram, you can use well, they all
Skype.
work here. Yeah, but the whole thing that against the WhatsApp, probably Skype too, it's the whole privacy concern. Telegram is pretty popular here. I just went on to it recently, and I noticed I have about a dozen friends here that are on Telegram and that use it. So that's one I would recommend.
Telegram, yeah. I stay with WhatsApp. I like WhatsApp.
Yeah, what's up?
What else?
We're
What
trying to
else?
get questions that haven't been answered yet.
We have a question from Philip. Is it necessary to own a vehicle in Boquete?
It depends where you're gonna be living. It depends how much you want to do on the daily basics and how adventurous you want to be.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like public transit?
Uh-huh.
There's tons of public transit in Cherokee here.
Yep, but also if you, let's say, oh, I want to have the freedom to go to drive to David, do shopping, go to a friend's house, do this, do that. So owning a vehicle here, it really facilitates a lot of the moving around. If you rely on public transportation, you have to sometimes wait quite a bit longer and get in the taxi sometimes with 2 or 3 people.
But it is very reliable.
It is.
There are some people I know that live in downtown Boquete that don't get a vehicle except for once a month. They rent a vehicle for 3 days. They do their Price Mart run. They go to the beach. They get all that stuff done in the 3 days. Then they return the vehicle, and then they don't have a vehicle.
Yeah.
So you could live here without a vehicle if you're close to everything,
Yeah.
for sure, and not have to worry about public transit if you live downtown.
Speaking of vehicles, Allison also asked, how do you purchase a vehicle in Panama, and will they finance to us, or do we have to buy it outright?
Yeah, it has to be because in order to have to apply for any financing, you need to require some paperwork in Panama. Let's say if you are an employee or if you're independent, then you have to get X amount of years banking, Panamanian banking credits and references. So you have to be like at least quite a bit of while, either as independent or employee to apply for any financing. So the best is just to purchase. And it's a different budget. So you can get a car easy from $2,500. But I mean, talking about something probably in the 90s.
Yeah. The biggest thing to remember, and I hear this a lot, the Latin Americans don't understand the North American culture. You know, that 750, 780, that 825 credit score you work so hard to get, as soon as you move to Panama, it's gone. We don't use, like Panama banks don't even know what that is. Yeah. Your US credit score is useless. So you're starting over here. And unless you have a job that you're paying into the Social Security system, the chances of you getting any type of financing on an automobile is pretty slim, unless it's a private guy that somehow wants to take a chance and doesn't want to give you title. And so, you know, but yeah. So and even on the mortgage side too, we get this asked a lot. Okay. Can I come down there and get a mortgage? It can be done. Very difficult to do on a pension without a huge down payment. Banks aren't interested in owning homes here. So there are some developers that might do it. And there are some restrictions in banking that requires the mortgage must be paid off by the time you're 75 years old. So some of those things affect people that move down here when they're 65 and think they can get a mortgage. Well, no, yeah, it's not going to happen. So, but if you do move here, and if you're a younger person and you get a job and you're working here after 2 years later, yeah, you can go to the bank, get a mortgage, get a car, just like everyone else, because you've built up your credit.
Yeah. Next questions.
Yeah, we've got a question from Sean. I've heard that expats can't buy property within 7 miles of the coast. Is this true?
The Costa Rica border. And I think it's 10 miles.
Got it.
Yeah, not of the actual beach or coast line. Yeah, it's just, Mike, do you know the law? They change it all the time. The Costa Rican border law, expats owning property, and you have to unmute yourself.
You have to mute yourself. Sorry.
Right, there we go. Sorry.
So question, guys, I think I just heard you say that if you are trying to get a mortgage, it has to be done by the time you're age 75. So what kind of mortgages are out there? 50. I know in the US, we usually do 15-year and 30-year. If I move down there and I'm 61, can I not buy a house?
Okay, I'm going to come to your question in a second. Mike's just answering the other question that we had about not foreigners owning land near Costa Rica.
Well, I was really confirming what you said, Rod. They change it all the time. It used to be so many 100 meters, and then it was miles, and it's a moving.
I don't know what it is now, but it's not like the gentleman asked. It's nothing to do with the coast. It has the Costa Rica border. Okay, and back to the mortgages. You can't get a mortgage if you don't have a credit rating in Panama, if you don't have a Panamanian income. So that's, I shouldn't say you can't. It's hard to get a mortgage, very difficult. The mortgages must be paid off if they're from a bank by the time you're 75 years old. So, and the interest rates in Panama, don't shock and fall off your seats here, people, are 5 to 7%. But that means your savings rate is 3 to 5%, don't forget. So if you have money,
right. The rates are a little bit higher, but so I guess the sorry, you threw me on that one, because so you're saying you have to have the income in Panama, you have to establish a credit rating in Panama.
Your U.S. mortgage, your U.S. pension doesn't qualify you to get a mortgage. First of all, you have no credit rating in Panama. So you like getting a mortgage will be very difficult. The process would be 6 to 12 months before you even know if you qualify, or if they don't kind of kick you out the door. A pension is not considered an income because it's not at any time you could pick up and leave. And the bank, like I say, the banks here aren't interested in your house. They're not in that business. Even if there's equity in it, they're not in the repossession, foreclosure type business. So it's very difficult. It can be done, people a little older, your age, on a private side with private developments and stuff like that. If you put 30, 40, 50% down, and then they might finance the rest because they're in the business of, you know, if you take off or decide to go back home for health reasons, they'll just take your property for you. But banks, no, it's very difficult. I'm not saying 100% impossible. I'm saying very difficult.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What's next, Megan?
We had a question if Petitsi is close to the beaches. Anywhere you live in Petitsi, you will have a beach at least 5-minute drive away. Some places even less. There's a ton of beaches in the Petitsi area.
Yeah, that town's not actually on the beach, but it's definitely close. Bicycle ride away.
Yep.
Getting back to the mortgage thing, can you finance through an American bank down there?
Sure. Like if you're at home, you want to buy out of the country property and you have some equity of somewhere and a good down payment, you can buy get the mortgage from a U.S. bank. There are no U.S. banks in Panama.
What kind of rates do you get for that?
There would be your U.S. rates. Like you're buying foreign property from your U.S. bank. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
All righty. We've got another question from Troy. Can a pensionado visa lead to citizenship?
Yep.
It can.
It's already.
Yeah, any permanent residency visa here can lead to citizenship. It will be a separate process after 5 years of residency.
5 years of permanent residency, some knowledge of the Spanish language.
Yep.
Do you have to sing the national anthem?
Yes, I think you have to say it. I don't know if you have to sing it. It's 6 minutes long, the Panama National Anthem.
That's why we have karaoke.
Yeah.
Start practicing, Rod. But the only difference between permanent residency and getting your citizenship here would be with the citizenship, you'll get a Panamanian passport, you'll be able to vote and also protest. The only difference.
Woo-hoo,
if you see a politician still, you can just point the finger and say all this stuff.
When I get mine, I am going to go stand and block the highway.
Oh yeah.
Oscar and Megan were blocked for like 4 hours last week.
Yeah.
It's happened a
for a
couple
protest.
times.
Yeah, and what we're talking about there, permanent residence, the only thing only rights you don't have is you can't vote and you can't protest in Panama.
If we want to protest, we could stay in the US, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I'm to bad humor.
That's all we do here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think we answered this one.
What else? What we got?
I have a question here.
Sure.
When you're moving to Panama, when you get your container down there, I have here several guys that have a bad experience when they're coming to Panama. A lot of stuff disappears, whatever. Some used the word Wide Express, and still there was missing stuff. So if you know anyone,
yeah,
you know, because
first of all, I personally would never ship a container down there. Number two, if I did, I would use Canal Movers or Mexico Movers. Those are my two favorites right now. Never heard a problem with them. They're two of the biggest. Door to door.
Canal Mover?
Canal Movers. They're
okay.
But they have offices in Houston, I think it is. And Mexico Movers. Don't let the name fool you. They because they're planning on changing it. The son lives here. The dad lives in Mexico. The dad got his way. So the son says, as soon as dad's out of the picture, I'm going to call it.
They have a pretty good reputation, right?
Yeah, they got a great reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason why you should lose any of your stuff. Panama is a perfectly safe country like that. The problem is people, honestly, I'm going to say this again, and I get in trouble for this sometimes, is people taking advice off of Facebook groups. Who should I, oh, I use these guys, they were perfect. Yeah, well, okay. I will tell you someone that I know people have used 100 times. And if they got it right, 100 of 100, then I'll start referring them.
Yeah.
No, that's just what I hear. I am in Panama very often, so have a lot of friends there. So
awesome.
And by the way, American Airlines tells me I have to have the COVID PCR test when I go on Friday. So
when you so they're wrong. So where are you going home?
So I don't know.
Where are you going home to the U.S.?
And last time they wasn't happy with even the PCR when I come down there. They have to have the lab results.
Yeah, we got to have lab results. You can't just have a letter that says so and so tested negative.
Yeah, that's a negative, like the US one. That didn't work. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah,
you're very welcome.
Sure. We've got a question from Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan. Is the construction industry out there more of a nightmare? I would like to buy land and build.
Well, it depends who is your contractor. It's all about getting the right connection again, getting to advice by the best reliable sources. We do know, right? We do know. I mean, also Mike knows probably some reliable contractors. They can be, working under your standards and making sure it's all like done properly, and also there's not going to be missing funds. Like.
Who asked that question, Megan?
Jonathan.
Jonathan, let me ask you.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Jonathan. If Panama was in a buyer's market, then build. Panama's in a seller's market, then you should build. Panama's in a buyer's market. It's not the time to build. You can buy cheaper than you can build, and just the nightmare. Mike, should I buy a home or build a home? Now, Mike's tell you a story.
I got you.
Yeah, today you can buy a home for less than you could build it.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm asking Mike again. Mike's built homes here, and he's bought homes. He's done both, and I don't think he's ever going to build another home,
unless you want something exclusively dream place, customized, something that you dream about it. That's different.
There's lots to shop around to find.
4 or 5 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5 bedrooms. That's the sort of thing we're after, really.
Yeah, there's lots.
And of course, really, it's more the land. The land is more important for us.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely like to have acreage.
Yeah, but you got to get down here, and before you come in
June.
In June. Just get a hold of me a month before and let Mike and his people show you every property that might be, fit your bill, and you can stay, a few days after and see everything.
Or come days before.
Yeah, or come a few days before.
Well, I intend to be there for about 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome.
But building right now, it's scary. I'm not going to take someone's dream away from them if they want to do it, but it's difficult in Panama, especially if you know the language or have the excellent project manager that's fully bilingual. That will help.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm guessing it's just, what is it, mañana?
Yeah, mañana.
Mañana.
For those of you here that don't know Spanish, mañana means tomorrow in Spanish, but in Panama, it does not mean tomorrow. It means not today. So if your gardener says he'll be back mañana, not today. Maybe not. Okay.
Because tomorrow is going to be another tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Our electronics are they expensive there, like computers and TVs and cameras?
No, pretty well the same price. Big screen, 50-inch TV, $399, $499. Basic Best Buy prices here in the big screens. We also have a Costco that you'll see the prices. I've compared often to the U.S. Costco stores, and they're about the same. Computers are, you can get your $399 HP. Don't forget they're going to be Spanish. So you've got to make sure that if you want an English operating system, that you go to some of the bigger stores, so they have one for you. Okay, we're going to take a short break from the Q&A because we got 15 minutes left and we have about 2 hours of questions. But anyways, short break. As I mentioned before, you want us to hold your hand, to show you this country, to be there when you move, and just so you can stop emailing me that, hey, do you got any spots open? We are launching a new date. That date is July 29th to August 5th. You are the first people to see it. Apparently I almost put a link in the chat. I just put a link in the chat that if anyone wants to reserve that tonight before I send it out to our list of 7,000 people that want to come to Panama, I would book that if you want to come in the next 5 months. Okay, let's get back to after the commercial break. Oh, I screwed up your thing.
That's okay. I have one ready.
Okay.
Someone was asking about flood zones in Panama. How do you know what to look out for? Where are the flood zones? How to not live near them?
Basically, you don't want to be next to the river. You don't want to be at the bottom of the hill, the big mountain, where especially they took down all the trees and they're farming. You don't want to be there. And you don't want to be in the edge of the cliff.
Yeah. We don't seem to have a lot of flood plains here. What we have is the expats who like to live up in the mountains and build these unique houses on the side of a hill.
Yeah, and sometimes
not always a good idea.
But the thing is, sometimes you have to really be sure the foundation is the right foundation.
Yeah.
Because there is some situations here, not far from Boquete, when somebody built a home in a canyon and the swimming pool had a little leak. That's what I know about the story. And then turns out the whole house went down because the whole part of the land just disappeared. So that person owns a nice chunk of air.
Yeah, chunk of air.
Yeah.
We have a question from Tammy about crime rates in which areas, things to look out for.
Okay, let's talk crime. I always have this ready. Got a couple sites for you guys to write down. Nationmaster.com. Just the way it says. I'm going to give you the stats. I'm going to wreck your chat again. Sorry. Oh, okay. I'm sending a chat.
Visitor from Ajax triggered add to cart.
Oh, someone's ordering that, and I'm sorry that's so loud. So, did not mean that. Wait, I got to find to turn off my site. Okay, there we go. Okay. Nationmaster.com is one of the sites that I use. Now, why I like this one, this is not people reported. This is actually, it was a volunteer group that grabs stats from real sources, police forces, stuff like that. As a country as a whole, if you look at the link I sent you, the US is the 24th most dangerous country in the world, and Panama is the 64th. So Panama is 1/3 less crime as a country as a whole. But there are some areas that you can move in Panama City and Cologne and some rougher areas of Panama that can be as bad as areas of Chicago and stuff like that. So that one's 2002. There's many. Nationmasters.com has, I just gave you the first link that I saw on there. And then there's Numero, NUMERO, crime stats. Numero. Now I don't know how to spell. I'm gonna have to send that one out. Oh yeah, there we go. Numero. Now it is stats. Yeah. If you look at this one, this is current stuff. What are you guys laughing at?
Numbeo.
Numbeo with a B.
Yeah, okay. This will rank Canada, US, Panama, all in the same group. Like basically, the crime here is not any worse. The crime in Cherokee is, I lived in both Regina, Saskatchewan until I was 30, then 30 to 45 in Vancouver before I moved here. And Cherokee is much safer.
It is.
There is less crime on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So, and Panama City, I lived downtown for 2 years.
That is actually one of the safest because
Yeah.
you got all the fancy spots.
Yeah, you can go walking around. You can go home from a late 11 o'clock dinner by myself. There was no problem. But there are some bad areas. So don't get me wrong. And you always need to be vigilant. Don't be that expat that buys the Mercedes Benz and walks around with a briefcase that looks like you have money.
Yeah.
Or, and the Rolex.
Or don't let windows open, just flash in, or don't tell everybody I got a safe. You don't know. Tell anybody you got a safe. Even if you have a safe, you don't have a safe.
Yeah, you're gonna get rolled for sure.
Yeah.
That's in any country. So
that's pretty much anywhere. You gotta be quite street smart, but that you gotta be anywhere in the world, So basic common sense, I guess.
Mike, what's I've never stayed overnight in the Coronado area. Do you and the wife go for a walk at 10 o'clock at night? Is it safe?
You're muted.
Really? You gotta figure out that mute button.
We do walk. But we we live on the golf course, so we walk on the golf course. We walk on the beach. So yeah, sometimes we would walk on the beach at night.
I think, Mike, the only dangerous part that could be where you live is go for a swim in that little lake, right? You might get bit by something there. That's the only thing, but that's it.
That's right.
Areas like that, there's just very low crime.
Yeah,
probably lower than Turkey.
Okay, that's it. The most dangerous thing ever happened to you is you twist your ankle by no seeing or get hit by a car. Potentially, if you have too many beers. And that's it.
Hello?
Yes.
My name is Sherry. I have a question. I was born in the Canal Zone, so if I want to renew my citizenship, I can. I was wondering, is it better to come as a pensionado, as a Panamanian, or come as a U.S. citizen?
Well, if you're born in the city, if you're born here, you can just become citizen right away. Just come here with a certificate and get your ID. And no matter what, here in Panama, afterwards the age,
55
for women. So you're good to go. You're a citizen.
Yeah, what he means, after 55 for women, you still get all the pensionable discounts.
Exactly. So it doesn't, if you're a citizen, if you're born here, that means you're a citizen already.
Yeah.
Okay, so the benefits are the same for the Panamanian pensionado and the American pensionado.
Yeah.
Yes, I see.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, all.
And then if I renew my cedula, then I can work or get.
Rod is not even on the pensionado. He's he gets all the pensionado discounts already.
That's because they think I'm old. Shut up.
Okay, so we were talking about crime, dangers. Philip wanted to know, is the volcano in Boquete active, and are there any concerns over earthquakes?
Earthquakes. Yeah, it's like a flip the coin. It's gonna happen anytime. We don't know because it's a volcanic area. Barú volcano is a dormant volcano. Historians say the last time we made an eruption was 700 years ago. That was when the Spaniards were here colonizing Panama. And there was some data, some books that were in the Pacific coast on the ship, and they saw a mountain of fire. That was Barú volcano. But when it's gonna blow up again, it's like the Yellowstone. When it's gonna happen, nobody knows. But it's not an active volcano. It's a dormant volcano. And because we're on the San Andres Fault, we do have some seismic activity once in a while.
Yeah, we're not like California that we're on a fault that we're going to break off and become an island, okay? But we do have common earthquakes. We had a 6.3 last year. That's pretty big.
Yeah, but it is short.
We had one yesterday.
Yeah,
we actually had an earthquake.
I have never felt it. I mean, if it's not over 5, I'm like,
it's nothing.
May I point out that there is a saying that Panama is God's home because it has so few natural disasters?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We don't have hurricanes. We might have the tails of the winds of the hurricanes. We don't have tsunamis because we have a extension of the reef barrier around the mangroves. So in that way, we're very safe. However, that doesn't mean the strong rainy season that can happen. Like last year, we got a little bit of the tail of Eta hurricane
And iota.
and iotas, but the
Also
Eta was the
flooding.
worst. And if one day it was a cumulative rain of 14 days straight. That doesn't happen every year. That doesn't. The last time this happened, that was in 2008.
Mhm.
And luckily, not many people perished, but yeah, there was a lot of damage. But that's pretty much.
Yeah. And to all you US and Canadian guys, we don't have snow.
We're getting shoveling snow every morning, and wearing how many layers of clothes you wear?
Oh, see, it's
I mean,
just- it was-
I never been in the snow. If I ever go, the time I go to North America to be in the winter, everyone is gonna be laughing at me because I couldn't even move with so many layers I'm gonna be wearing.
Yeah.
Oscar, I just want to say we were there during the two
Uh-huh.
wettest weeks of the wet season, and we were at beachfront in Puerto, and we were also there for the flood. 3 days, no electric, no water. And I just want to say, man, if we can do it, anybody can do it. And we were actually outside taking movies during the storm. Not once was our life in danger. Not once was anything in danger. The one thing I will say, though, is if the road's closed, don't take the back route to try to get to DeVite. It's a bad idea. Don't do that. But I'm just saying that because I'm not a rainy weather lover, and that I thought would be a deterrent for me. We were there during the 2 rainiest weeks of the year, the rainiest season, I think, on record. And if I'm not mistaken, the biggest flood to ever hit Puerto. And we
Yeah.
were fine. We were fine. As a matter of fact, we bought the land. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
Thank
not
you.
that daunting.
Yeah, and that's very accurate. So as long you are far from rivers, and every time, and I said this because I've been involved with the national response to emergency here in Panama. So I got some training about some stuff and for emergency response. And as long as you're away from the rivers and you pay attention to the weather, the behavior, you're always going to be fine. And also where you locate from the beginning.
Listen to him. He means it when he says stay away from the rivers. They come up so fast. He means it.
And sometimes it's not just water. I mean, you don't worry about the water. You worry about the boulders, the trees, all kinds of stuff that goes down.
Okay. All righty. We are getting near our countdown time on Zoom. Our hour and a half Zoom call is coming to an end in 4 minutes. So any questions that we haven't covered? I do apologize. I don't apologize. It's exciting when we get 100 people and we get so many questions.
We've got through a lot of them.
Yeah, well, we'll try to read the rest of them tonight and see if I'm going to send this out as a recording for those of you who missed it. Obviously, that's not you here, but for the people that missed it, and if anyone wants to watch it again, and I'll try to address any questions that we did not touch.
We have.
May I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
You said about stay away from rivers. What about the lake? I love water. What about lake?
Lake. Well, from Boquete, there is a lake.
Yes.
Let's see.
It doesn't present the same danger as a river.
No.
See, we have flash flooding here, so lakes don't flash flood, and we don't have like a snow melt or like reading in northern U.S. where the lakes flood. We don't get that here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's rivers, flash flooding.
Yeah.
Okay, so when's the dry season?
We are on the dry season right now.
December 15th to April 15th, basically, with a few showers here and there.
Yeah. Now it behaves differently, and wherever area is close to the continental divide, like Boquete, we do have experienced a little bit of the
misty season.
Misty season, but also strong colds, like a strong north winds. It gets sometimes 3 days in a row, but nothing too bad. It's just lots of wind, a little bit of mist, but that's it.
I just wanted to mention we had a question about vegans here, if they're able to find groceries, restaurants. We just had a vegan, Milton, who was on the call. I'm not sure if he's still on, but he was on our tour last week, and he was able to eat something everywhere we went.
Yep.
There are definitely options here. A lot of, especially here in Boquete, so much fresh produce.
Yeah.
Lots of rice and beans and plantains.
Veggies, lots of veggies.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, I was able to pull it off at nice, big, and giant play at the seafood market. Giant, great broccoli, carrots, all kinds of veggies, rice with wandu beans. It was awesome. I think you enjoy it.
Okay. So we are in our last 2 minutes of the call. I posted the link again if anyone wants to join us in July.
We have two
This is the
hands
chance.
raised here.
Okay,
If you
we-
guys want to quick.
Where do you see
get
the
your-
hands?
Up at the top here from Rachel
Oh.
and Ralph.
Oh, and then they get. I didn't even know that was a future.
Yeah.
Okay, let's find Rachel first. What do we get?
Hi. I just had a question about little creatures, bugs. Are they very prevalent in town in Boquete?
We do have creatures. I'm not gonna lie. However, there is ways to prevent the amount of creatures getting into your house. We have the screens in the windows, a little like seals on the doors. You can sometimes put some products outside the door to avoid some scorpions, cockroaches, but nothing extreme. It depends where you live. And if you're in the downtown area, the chances are way less. If you're in the middle of the forest, oh yeah, you're gonna have creatures because that's their home. So I rescued an opossum a little while ago outside. Little taco.
Taco. He
Yeah,
called his
little-
possum Taco.
Yeah, it was so cute.
I'm actually less afraid of the mammals and whatnot, but the little ones, the spiders and scorpions, I'd be afraid of.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of geckos here too. You want the geckos
You want
to
the
be your.
geckos.
You want to put them in the house because
Yeah.
they eat the larvae
Yeah.
of the bad ones.
Although things can happen, and let me tell you, I've been in the middle of the jungle, forest, almost stepping on the very poison lands.
Yikes!
Happened nothing to me, but one time in my own bed, got stung 3 times by a scorpion, and that was the one time in my whole life. How that happened, I don't know, but accidents happen.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we might have time for one more call. If we sometimes this thing shuts off, sometimes it gives us a few more minutes because we're at the hour and a half point. Ralph, do you have your question that you want to ask?
Let's see. Yeah, I was wondering about in Coronado. I've heard that there's stinging bugs on the beach that bother you and stuff. Have you heard of that before?
Biting beach bugs.
Mike, do you think he's talking about no-see-ums?
I'm familiar with the term, with the name of them.
I think it will be the nonsense of the chitras, which is sometimes gets more active. Depends. I think it's coming into the dry season, or but it's not. It's
Bug
very,
spray works for me because
Yeah.
they do bite me on some of the beach towns.
sometimes mosquitoes
Or
are good, huh?
Citronella oil or lemongrass
Yeah.
mixed with some water.
Gruber's jungle oil works.
Yep.
That
A lot of
definitely.
natural
Yeah,
stuff
natural
too.
stuff. Yeah. The best way is to put the coconut oil mixed with the citronella or lemongrass. That type of mosquito cannot bite when the skin is cold.
All right. So it has been a pleasure being with
It's really a
everyone
pleasure
tonight.
with you guys.
Thanks for joining
So
us, everyone.
Thank you very
anything
much.
You guys need, just go to the website, click Retiring Panama Tours, click on contact, and ask us any questions you want. That's great. We'll be doing another call every month. Make sure if you're not on our newsletter on our website, you sign up for our newsletter. So you get all this information.
And also you can follow us, our adventures on Facebook, on Instagram,
and YouTube.
So we're gonna have
really, we don't mind answering questions. If you say, hey, what are the current restrictions? We're going to answer you.
Yep, we
And
will.
get the facts. Like we have to know that. We're bringing groups in almost every week, it seems.
Oh, by the
And
way,
so-
but let me say, Rachel, I didn't mean to scare you about that I got stung 3 times by the scorpion. That's just like, what are the odds? It's
That was
just
a
like
freak of nature.
1 in a million.
After living in this region of the world
Yeah.
for 40 years,
For
it was
40
just
years,
once.
just once. So it's like the odds are very minimal. That's what I meant to say.
Okay, folks, we are going to end this call. You'll have a good night. Tomorrow around noon, you'll see a replay of this and answer any questions. I just saved the chat just in case. It was great having you all here. And
God bless you all.
have a good night.
Hasta pronto. O hasta mañana.
And enjoy the snow.
Remember to shuffle the snow with you know.
Yeah, be careful. Don't hurt your back.
Don't hurt your back.
Use your knees. All right, everyone. Have a good night.
Buenas noches.